Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Sportscast brought to you by the Outspoken Network, guys. It's your host, Brian and Craig. Craig, my man, how you been?
Howdy.
All right, guys. Well, we got quite a show for you today. We've got Week 16 games in the NFL we're going to talk about that coming up today. That have already happened as well. We've got Do You Trust Them edition and NCAA playoffs as they took place yesterday. We're gonna get into the bracket here a little bit as well. Craig, I missed you on Tuesday. I was hoping to talk some college football, and I was like, I need Craig on here to talk college football.
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit better. So
Yeah, I didn't know. I took Zach over to, he had some friends performing a winter concert from the band, and we went up there, and it ran a lot longer than I was anticipating. So,
no worries. All right, guys. Well, let's get into the games. Week 16 already took place. You had the Denver Broncos Thursday night football against the Los Angeles Chargers, and the first half, Craig, was dominated by Denver. Bo Nix looked good. The Chargers didn't really get anything going offensively. The Broncos were able to run the ball pretty well in the first half, and I turned it off and I woke up shocked that Los Angeles wins this game 34-27. Um, they must have made those second half adjustments because Denver didn't score. I think they only scored three more points in the whole second half, and LA kind of turned it on. What are we thinking so far about Harbaugh's first season with the Chargers?
I mean, I think you haven't seen the normal Charger fall off that happens normally late in the season. They're actually um, kind of staying even, or even maybe even getting a little better. And um, this is the time of year that you want to see that. You want to see going into the playoffs. You want to see your team getting better, and that's what Denver's done up to this point. That's what a lot of these teams are doing. Are getting better, and Harbaugh has had success, and they haven't had the, knock on wood, they haven't had the injuries that they've had in the past couple of years, and the quarterback is looking like he's maybe found a system that he's comfortable in, and maybe this is kind of what you expected from him. Um, I mean, I think it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, and it's something that they're kind of it's low on the radar this season for the Chargers. No one's really talking about them, but I think it's been
Right.
a pretty good year for them. And Justin Herbert's he's not he hasn't had the flashiest year, but he's been more consistent this season, and he's not turning the ball over and making those boneheaded plays. Um, I think this is for both these teams. You look at Denver coming in this year; it was, they were expected to win 5 games or 9-6. That's a successful season.
Oh,
Harbaugh's
absolutely.
9-6 for the Chargers, so I think you could take really good things away from both these teams. Um, and the Chargers are, I don't know, they're kind of the redheaded stepchild of the NFL. They don't have a big fan base. They would talk about and at home that the other teams usually take over their stadiums, and
Yeah.
these fans, the Charger fans, need that consistency of winning, and I think Harbaugh is going to bring it there, and he's going to get Justin Herbert going. Um, on the flip side of that, the Broncos they played real well. One thing that's been lacking this year, and Jeff might, I don't know if Jeff's not on here today, obviously, but is a rushing attack. It's been kind of limited. Um, their biggest rusher was Estime at 48 yards on 9 carries. I mean, not good enough, right? And Bo Nix is, I think, surprised a lot of people how good he was going to play so far this year. But definitely for both these teams, I think you can already say a pretty successful season, not knowing what you were getting with the head coach and the quarterback position, especially with Denver. Um, but and Denver missed a big opportunity. If they won that game, they were gonna lock themselves in a playoff spot. So a missed opportunity there, but we'll see how the playoffs. We'll see if maybe it comes back and haunts them this next week. We had Houston at Kansas City. Kansas City wins 27-19, and I turned it on when Kansas City went up 14-0. I kind of was like, all right, I'm gonna turn it off here, and Kansas City gets to win. Um, Patrick Mahomes able to run with his, even though his ankles are both taped up, he was able to move it around in the pocket just fine. So I don't think the ankle's really gonna bug him too much going forward.
Doesn't look like it.
Um, you know, they keep winning. They keep winning, unfortunately. Houston, they're gonna be in a question of do you trust him here in the next segment? But I see Stroud okay game. He had two interceptions. He early interception that kind of led the Chiefs down to score. He just overthrew. He forced the ball in double coverage and he overthrew his wide receiver. Um, just not. I don't know. It's something about the fall, not fall of Justin or CJ Stroud, but maybe a sophomore slump this year for him.
Yeah, I think some teams are finally getting the tape and they're figuring him out a little bit and figuring out um, what he likes to do and what what his main targets are and what um, like I said, what he likes, receivers he likes to throw to, plays he likes to run in big situations. They're kind of keeping him pinned in the pocket rather than giving him the ability to get out and make plays. And I think he's still going to be good. I just don't
Yeah,
think after last year, I think we thought, oh wow, this guy's going to be
yeah.
really good, and they started out good this season, and now they've come and they've had several injuries, and they have another brutal injury yesterday in Tank Dell. That's one of Stroud's favorite targets, and
He is the guy there. Yeah,
yeah, and especially after um,
missing last year.
missing last year, and so that hurts. I think that hurts
What kind of
the
injury is
long.
it? I didn't know he got injured.
Well, his knee just got destroyed. It's a separated kneecap or something, a hyperextended kneecap. I mean, they thought he on that long touchdown, they thought he blew his whole knee out. They ended up carting him off, and Stroud's sitting there crying and wanting to get in the ambulance with him, and they're like, "Hey, we got some
I
football
got some
up to
football to
play.
play. We really
You
need
really
you.
can't go, so just stay here for a little while." But Stroud was, kind of crying on the sideline and real emotional about it, and the Texans just never really recovered after that. So that's going to be a huge loss for them going forward.
Yeah, and you talk about everyone. Everyone deemed Stroud the guy. That
Right.
people had him in their top 10 list. I was like, I can't put him there yet. I need more than was one season to kind of put him there. Um, and I think it's kind of it's kind of funny because I don't take it personally, but it's funny because the question last season was okay, well, who's better, Love or Stroud? Is Stroud gonna have a fall off this year or Love? And everyone picks, oh, Stroud's better than Love, and I'm like, let's hold those horses here, save our receipts, because um, I don't know. I say right now, Love's looking a little bit better, but
Yeah, and I think Love has the weapons and has a consistency and a system and um, he hasn't really had the huge drop off that Stroud has had. Um, even though Love's had some injuries himself.
yeah.
So yeah, I think right now you would definitely say that Love's having the better season.
Or we got Pittsburgh at Baltimore, and this is where I turned over to the college football. Baltimore destroys them 34-17, and Derpy, right as right as I um right as I give you some credit, and I apologize for giving such crap to the Steelers this season. They go out and get blasted by the Baltimore Ravens. And here we go, and it's just how far do you trust the Pittsburgh Steelers and Russell Wilson? And I'm not sure, and I don't know why I could trust the Baltimore Ravens either. But
I definitely don't trust them. But you know, Russell, Wilson has the fumble down as he's fixing to run into the end zone, and then throws a really really rough pick six. A couple mistakes that really were brutal in that game. I think it was closer than the score reflected it. It got a little crazy there at the end. Baltimore put on some points, the pick six, and then Henry had another long run. Um, I still think Pittsburgh's okay to make. They're going to make the playoffs, and but winning the division would kind of make your path easier and get you a home game, and to where you don't maybe have to go to Buffalo um, in January. So we'll see.
yeah, for a team to have to rely such heavily on their defense, well, they figured they would shut down Derrick Henry. He had 162 yards yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
They didn't a couple really really big runs for Henry.
so they didn't really do a good job there. Um, and Baltimore gets the win today. The only interesting thing about this game between the Giants and Atlanta is we're going to see Michael Penix Jr. play. He's going to play the rest of the season. There's talks about cutting Kirk Cousins to save them some money, but that didn't last very long at all for Kirk Cousins there. Um, I think Penix Jr. gets to win here, Craig. They're playing the terrible Giants football team. I'm hoping to see Penix Jr. I really liked him in college. You know, I just don't know with his age and his injuries. That's the biggest concerns coming in here when they drafted him.
I think asking you couldn't ask for a better team to make your first NFL start against.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so absolutely, I think he has the ability to deal. But we'll see. I mean, college, the jump from college to the pro, the speed of the game. We'll see if sitting for 14 weeks and getting to run some plays in practice helped him at all. It'll be interesting to see what he looks like.
And I think is Kirk Cousins done? Do you think he goes somewhere else? Because I don't know who anybody watches this year and goes, "Yeah, I'll take him next season." Um, and Kirk Cousins to me before this season has always been that okay, he's a top 10 quarterback, usually on the bottom half, 8, 9, 10, has good numbers, you know, never won a Super Bowl, never good enough to get the team to the ultimate championship, but he was a decent quarterback, put up good numbers. Um, but man, I thought coming to this year that he was going to help. Um, he was going to help Atlanta, but
I, I think
wow,
I think it started off badly when they drafted Penix.
yeah,
Right away. A first round pick. Um, and Cousins is like, what? What are we doing? Like, I thought I had the keys to the franchise for the next couple of years, and so I think he felt that ultimate pressure from the start, and maybe it's just a bad mesh with the system that he has and the system they're running. You would have thought with that rookie running back that they had some good pieces there, and really thought they would win this division pretty easily.
yeah.
And so I think maybe it just started bad by drafting the quarterback and um, putting that pressure on Cousins. I don't think he retires, but I mean I don't know if he gets another starting job anywhere. It'll just depend on the QB carousel. I mean, who needs a quarterback?
Yeah, Jeff says that he thinks they did him wrong, Kirk Cousins, and
Right.
it was a really interesting boneheaded. Well, we can't really say it's boneheaded if Penix comes in and starts winning these games, right? Well, I think we've got to flip it, but it's just not a good look.
No.
And we all were scratching our heads going, wait a minute, why would you draft your replacement quarterback when you just signed a guy for 4 years? Um, Kirk Cousins has not played good though. If you just look on it at where he threw 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in like
Yeah.
3 games.
Yeah.
You're going, oh man, this is some bad football. Um, so and maybe but the Falcons will look good if Penix Jr. comes in and starts winning. If he doesn't, then we're kind of going, okay, we were right. But if he starts winning these games, and maybe, I mean, they are number 2, I believe, in their division right now, with the Buccaneers leading it. But they're only 1 game back, so we'll see it. Yeah, I think Tampa wins tonight against the Dallas Cowboys. But Atlanta really needs a win here to keep up with that division. And if Penix Jr. comes in, Craig, and says, and they win again, and they're fighting for that division with Tampa, we might have to rethink. You know, hey, maybe it was a good pickup because maybe they didn't have that all that trust in Kirk Cousins going into it. Obviously, with the pick they made, but you got Detroit at Chicago. Should be an easy win for Detroit. Chicago can't get out of their own way. It's been it's been fun to watch Chicago implode. I ain't gonna lie. You got Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cincinnati hoping to keep their playoff. Well, first of all, do you think Chicago's going to beat Detroit, Craig? I don't think we.
No. I
Okay.
mean, I would think, even with all the injuries and everything like that, I think Detroit handles Chicago, just fine.
And they're actually getting their best cornerback back today
Yeah.
for the Detroit. So Cleveland at Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati wins this one. They're still fighting for the playoff hopes, and I hope they get in because I think they're a dangerous team if they do make it to the playoff. It's going to be a very very hard path for them. I think if they think they have pretty much win out to make it. Um, but I think they beat Cleveland today. Uh,
That would be a epic comeback after the way they started. That would be to come back and make the playoffs would be a one hell of a change.
yeah. Tennessee at Indianapolis. No one cares about this game. It has no implications
No,
on
yeah,
playoffs.
yeah.
Whatever. You got Los Angeles at New York Jets. I think the Rams take. I think the Rams take this one. I think they win it. They're still fighting to win that division. I think they ultimately do win that division. Um, Philadelphia at Washington. This one's an interesting one. Philadelphia has been winning a lot. They're at Washington, a divisional game. Jay Daniels has some injured ribs they're talking about in this one. Um, I think it's closer than people think, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Philly. You think Washington can upset Philadelphia today?
I think they can. I don't know if they will. I think Washington has come really, really, really back to earth. The quarterback was the first 6 weeks of the season. He was the going to be the offensive rookie of the year. They were talking about him being the MVP. They were talking about um, Washington making this huge jump. I think we were absolutely right when we said I think this is the right pick, but I think Washington has success a couple years from now. I think they ran out the gate. They had a little bit of an easier schedule, and they ran out and made some deals and made some headway early and um, but I think they've come back to reality again. People had some film on the quarterback, some scheme looks. You had a new head coach, you had a new offensive coordinator. Um, we will see what the end of the season brings. Um, I don't like either team, but I would like Philadelphia to stumble going into the playoffs and have some doubt and because I think that's the only thing holding that team together. I think, like we've talked about, that team is on the brink of implosion, and I think the only team thing that has held Philadelphia from doing that is having 8 or 10 wins in a row. So winning kind of cures all
Oh yeah,
all problems. So, to start the season, they started off with a couple losses, and we thought, here we go, the Eagles are going to fold, and then they started winning, and Saquon Barkley has, I believe, held that franchise together, but we'll see how long it lasts.
All right, we got Arizona, Carolina again. A game that doesn't matter. Minnesota at Seattle. This one should be pretty good. Um, Seattle still fighting for that division. Minnesota fighting for the number one spot in the NFC plus the division. They're tied right now with Detroit. They need to keep winning to match it. I think Detroit ultimately ends up winning the division, unfortunately. But this should be a good matchup. Um, you got it's the matchup of the used to be Jets quarterbacks and Sam Darnold and Geno Smith. Seattle, we beat them pretty handily the other night. Weird things do happen in Seattle. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one to Seattle though. Something tells me this is a game that Minnesota comes out kind of sloppy and slow, and Seattle fighting for all they had to fight for because the Minnesota's pretty much already in the playoffs. Uh, I think Seattle wins this one at home.
We thought Seattle. I thought Seattle would give Green Bay a little bit tougher of a fight last Sunday in at home. You say it's a weird place to play, and Green Bay just came out there and handled business. So we'll see if Seattle can kind of put a better fight up.
Yeah.
Minnesota has been kind of an up and down team, where they start fast some games, and then other games they start real slow, but
Yeah.
they somehow find ways to win in the end. Um, I think Seattle comes out tonight though, and puts up a better fight, and it's a much closer game than the Green Bay game was.
You got New England at Buffalo. Buffalo, I think, wins this game easily.
Yeah.
I mean, not even close. Another Jacksonville Raiders going to be the bad football game. No one cares. The 49ers at Miami. Both these teams looking to get back on track. Miami hasn't been all that great, even with Tua back. San Francisco's been beat up and hurt. Give me give me the 49ers, but I don't trust it.
Yeah.
I don't trust it at all.
Yeah. I don't. Um, yeah, I would think the 49ers on paper are the better football team. Miami's been extremely disappointed this year. Even they lost Tua, which kind of was a reason that they looked rough in the middle part of the season. But wow, I mean,
And it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's just it's a matter of time of it's just a how long are we going to lose to? You know it's coming.
right,
How long is he going to miss?
right. Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a
You can't
month?
run a franchise like that.
Yeah,
You just can't. But Tampa Bay at Dallas, playing the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. I think Tampa should handle their business pretty easily. Baker Mayfield. Um, the Cowboys have been
Dallas has looked better.
they've looked better, but they've played terrible teams. Um, Cooper Rush has gotten better though. I mean, I do think that. I think he's been better the last couple of weeks and got a connection with CeeDee Lamb there, and the running games look better, but they've also played Tampa or they also played Carolina last week. I think they're going to have to run the ball well against Tampa to win.
Yeah, you're
Um,
gonna have to have ball control and time possession. You're not gonna just be able to go out there and get in a get in a slugfest with
yeah, and
with
that's
Baker.
what Tampa wants, and I think Baker turns it on, and I think Tampa wins. You got Tampa or Dallas tonight, Greg. They play tonight at 7:20.
Um, I mean, Tampa should win, but I mean, so should Washington, and so should a lot of other teams that have played Dallas. I mean, Dallas really should be in a much better spot for the playoff. If they stay away from a blocked punt against Cincinnati.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
they're they're in a much better spot right now. I think Tampa wins the game though. I mean, it's in Tampa, isn't it?
No, it's in Dallas.
Well,
It's in Dallas.
I mean, I don't know. I still think Tampa's a better football team.
Yeah. All right. Monday night matchup is the Saints in Green Bay. Give me Green Bay. I think this is an easy win for us. Um,
Yeah, Saints have really after the hot start, where they looked like they were going to have one of the most juggernaut offenses and break
in
all
NFL
kinds of
history. Yeah.
offensive records in the history of the NFL. Um, they've looked really bad the last month. They fired the head coach. That doesn't seem to have helped. So yeah, I think Green Bay wins that game easily.
You know what's so funny, and I'm gonna bring this up. Chicago started the season 4-2.
Yep.
They've lost 7 straight games, 8 straight games. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it all started with the Hail Mary. Gosh, I love it. Oh, sorry, Paul. Bearski Films. Sorry, man. But I think you have 9 straight losses, and then you play Seattle, and then you play Green Bay to end the season. And I think the only reason you have a chance to beat us is because hopefully we're setting out some starters because we already made the playoffs. But all right, let's get into a "Do you trust them" segment here, and I'm gonna ask Craig, you and me, do we trust these teams? Give us your honest opinions, and I'm gonna start with the AFC North because you got 2 teams here. Do you trust them? Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you trust Pittsburgh Steelers to win the division, to make a deep playoff run? Do you trust them? Are they for real team?
Um, I trust the head coach. I don't trust the quarterback. Um, but I look at the AFC and I look at them against the likes of Kansas City, Buffalo, obviously Baltimore yesterday, um, the Chargers, the Broncos. I just don't trust that. I wouldn't say a deep run. They might win one game in the playoffs. I don't know what the remaining schedule is to say if they'll win the division.
I got that for you. They
Um,
play the Chiefs and then the Bengals.
well, they're not going to beat the Chiefs.
And I
They
don't.
might beat the Bengals, but their Bengals are going to be playing for their playoff lives probably in that game.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they win the division. I think probably, unfortunately, what's Baltimore's remaining schedule?
Well, that's my next team. Do you trust them? Um, the remaining schedule for Baltimore is the Texans and the Browns.
So I
They've
don't
already
think they
lost to the
beat.
Browns once this year.
I don't think they beat the Texans, but the Browns are kind of imploding. I don't know
I
what the
think they win it.
tiebreaker is.
I think
I
Steelers. I think the Steelers lose next to the Ravens go 1-1, and I think they win the division. The Ravens by one
Yeah,
game.
I don't trust Pittsburgh very much quarterback wise, but then again, I really don't trust Baltimore. I looked at I'm looking at the game. I'm watching that game yesterday, and I'm looking at Lamar's numbers, and I'm going, that's terrible. He had 89 yards passing in the third quarter. I'm like, how does this guy have MVP numbers or 4,000 yards when every time I watch him, he looks terrible? Like
Yeah.
what he must be having games that are huge when I'm not
No.
watching him because every game that I watch, he looks terrible. He's running around, throwing the ball all over the field. The only thing that's keeping that team afloat is Derrick Henry. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't trust either one of those teams, honestly.
Let's go back to the Steelers real quick here. Their biggest win of the season
I beat Baltimore once.
will be Baltimore once. They beat the Commanders, which Is that a big win?
But when, I mean, did they
They
beat
beat
the
them.
Commanders early in the
Um,
season when they were really playing well, or did they beat them on the backside once
it was
people
week. It
started
was
to?
week 9. I think it
Yeah,
was.
see, and that's kind of where the Commanders started to fall apart.
So I don't give them a huge upside
No,
for that. They lost to the Browns. Uh
that's a bad loss.
they've lost to the Giants, the
That's a bad
Jets.
loss. Yeah,
No,
that's a bad.
sorry,
Oh,
they beat the Jets.
I was like, whoa.
Um,
I was like,
they lost to Dallas.
yeah, that was a weird game.
That was a weird game. They lost to the Colts. I don't see a team here that if you look at the teams they've played has. I mean, they beat the Chargers week 3, but I mean, um, I don't I don't trust the Pittsburgh Steelers. And last week I gave Derpy some credit and said, yeah, maybe I was wrong. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers lose last week. Um, to the Eagles. Now the Eagles are a good team, but they lost by 2 touchdowns,
Right.
and then they get smoked by the Ravens yesterday. I don't think they
Like I said, that score was um, a
a little
little
misleading.
misleading. Yeah.
Well, and then you got the Chiefs and Bengals. I think you go 10-7, good record, and I'm gonna chalk that up to your good head coach. Um, and I don't trust Baltimore either. They'll probably win the division. Um, but you can't trust this team in the playoffs until they prove it. They're kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. Until they prove it in the playoffs, then I'm not gonna believe that they're gonna win the big game.
Right.
They've their biggest win this season. They beat the Buffalo Bills week 4, 35-10. That was a big win, and that's pretty much it. Um, they've lost to the Browns. They've they lost to the Eagles. That was a good game. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Raiders in week 2, and they lost to the Chiefs week 1. And it's been up and down. That's another game they should have won, but Lamar Jackson didn't throw the ball. It just honestly, I think the question with the Baltimore Ravens is obviously their consistency, but their question: do you believe is that Derrick Henry is going to be that factor in the playoffs to help them get over the hump?
I
Um,
think a lot of the teams that are in the playoffs know how to stop the run.
right.
You're not going to be able to run against, well, Buffalo's defense obviously let up 40 against Detroit. Um,
You look well.
hmm,
The Steelers' defense is good, and they can
yeah,
stop them.
yeah, yeah, no, I get it.
So I think that's the biggest question with Baltimore because they haven't
I
had
think
that
that's
that
what they're
rushing attack.
hooking. I think that's what they're hooking their wagon to. They're not hooking it to Lamar.
Yeah, it's can
I think if they're going to make a deep run, it's going to be on the back and the legs of Derrick Henry.
it is, and it's going to be the play action off of that. It opens up the
Right.
pass and all that stuff, and if so, they win a couple playoff series. It's pretty successful pick for them, and he's been a beast this year. But
I'll
I
tell
just
you,
don't.
kid, who I was impressed with yesterday, uh, Calvin Austin the third. What's that name
Yeah, what
to
team does he play
become?
for?
Plays for Pittsburgh. He's a
Mhm.
wide receiver for Pittsburgh, and he had, I don't know, a little over 100 yards and had a couple really, really, really good catches, and seems to be one of Russ's top targets.
All right, another team. Do you trust them? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but the Houston Texans. They're 9-6. I think CJ Stroud's had a little bit of an off year. Still a good year, but not as good as everyone was picturing him out to be. Um, let's go. They have the Baltimore Ravens next, and they got the Tennessee Titans. Um, they just lost to the Chiefs. Let's look at their wins. The biggest win I think they have on the board. They beat the Buffalo Bills by 3 points early in the season. That's a good win. They got smoked by the Vikings. They barely beat the Chicago Bears. They lost to the Packers. It's not a bad loss. They lost to the Jets. That's a bad loss. Lions. They lost to Tennessee. That's a
They
bad
lost to the
loss.
Lions after
Oh,
being up 24-0 at halftime or 24-3 at
yeah.
halftime.
the Titans put it on them last time they played them and won. So you can't even say that they're going to beat the Chargers
Uh,
this season.
I think right now they have a ton of injuries. I mean, they just lose Tank Dell. Um, they lost Diggs. Um,
I
re-
right now
they
I
really
would
don't
say
have a running game to speak of.
well Mixon I thought would be better there. In
I
all
did
honesty,
too. I'm wondering if that's an offensive line thing, if they don't need another piece still. I don't know. I would say no in the AFC picture. I don't really trust them.
I trust Baltimore more now than I do the Houston Texans, and that's saying something.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
I think their defense is a little bit better and more consistency on offense, which is sad to say, but they're not as injured as well. If you're looking through the AFC, I think it's the
It's a
Buffalo
two-team
Bills and the
race.
Chiefs. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's I think
Yeah.
that's and
I
we
think
hope.
they're gonna. I think they're gonna meet in the AFC Championship in Kansas City because they're the one seed.
Sorry, Cat. I don't. Well, I think we're all hoping it's not the Kansas City Chiefs. And then let's
I don't
look at
know, man. Every time I sit
every
there
time I
and
say that.
every time I sit there and say that they don't look like the best team in football, uh, I mean, they just keep winning. They keep finding ways to win. Um, so I think that will be a must-watch football game.
Oh yeah,
The one that they played during the regular season was must-watch. I mean, Allen Allen has to go on a huge scramble of his life to win the football game.
yep. Um, and I really didn't split this up in AFC, NFC, but I think a lot of the do you trust them teams are in the NFC. AFC are in the AFC. My bad. The NFC. Do you trust them? Well, you really have got Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you trust them? I think they're a one and done in the playoffs. They're going to probably win that division, and they probably lose first round. Um, Baker can pull a game here or there. They played the Lions were well last year in the playoffs, but I just don't think they beat whoever they're playing. And then, do you trust them? The Rams or Seattle because they're tied right now for first place in that division. I
Uh, the Rams have been so Jekyll and Hyde. They go out and put up 40 against the Bills and lose or win. They beat the Bills, I think, and
yeah, they beat them
then
by 44-42.
go out the next week and play San Francisco and can't score 10
14 point.
points.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
won 12-6.
and so uh I mean I don't Stafford looked like the MVP candidate that he was years ago against Buffalo and then can't get out of his own way. Uh, they're just too up and down for me. They're too up and down for me to they're a shock. I mean, I didn't think anybody would touch San Francisco for that division, and I don't think San Francisco makes the playoffs this year. So that whole division is shocking. But no, I don't. They're just too inconsistent for me to go with.
Their their closing schedule is the Jets, which are playing right now,
Oh,
Cardinals, and Seattle. So they've got
oh
two
well, okay.
two out of three. They probably win that division. Seattle has to face the Vikings. Let me see who they close out the season with. Um, they got the Vikings, the Bears, and the Rams. So they should. I picked them to win today. They should beat the Bears, and I don't know that last game of the year for them might decide the division.
That could.
And then the other teams probably out of the playoffs because of the whole NFC North going to be in the playoffs. Um, and probably the Commanders if they keep it up, but we'll see. Um,
Commanders could be in trouble too. I mean, they have the
yeah.
Eagles this week. They have Dallas next week, and then I don't know who they finish with, but
Um, they finish with they've got Eagles and they play the Falcons and they finish at Dallas.
okay.
So,
So
but
Falcons with Penix, though. I mean, that could be a different.
Yeah, yeah. I think I trust the Rams more in Seattle. Um, they're a team I don't want to face in the playoffs. Let me just say that with Stafford, head coach Sean McVay. Um, I don't trust Seattle. I don't trust Tampa Bay. But I'm gonna put a little trust in the Los Angeles Rams because I think they're gonna be a dangerous team in the playoffs. I do think they end up winning that division. Well, all right. Well, there's a Do You Trust Him edition. We got games going on right now. Let's check into the scoreboard here. Eagles are up 7-0 against Commanders already in the first quarter. I think that's the only score. No, Tennessee's up on Indianapolis 6-0. The Lions are up 3-0 on the Bears, and Falcons got the ball right now with Penix Jr. So we'll see how he does. All right, guys. Well, yesterday, was the college football. And Craig, I was just disappointed. I wanted to see some good college football yesterday, and we really haven't seen it in the big games. Um, Notre Dame takes care of Indiana on Friday night, 27-17. I figured they, obviously figured that Notre Dame would win that game. Then you've got Penn State manhandling SMU after SMU implodes with a couple pick sixes and turnovers. Texas beats Clemson 38-24. Clemson made it a game later on, but when you give 21 points in the second quarter, you're not going to be looking too good. Ohio State smokes Tennessee 42-17, and that was the game I was looking forward to. Just not very good, but that's okay because hopefully the bracket gets better as let's look at the bracket here, Craig. You got number one Oregon versus Ohio State rematch of a game earlier this year. That was the best college football game I watched all year. Back and forth, down to the wire. Ohio State ran out of time. Um, this one's gonna be a tough one. This is Oregon hasn't really faced. I don't think they faced that great of a team since they played Ohio State the first time, and they beat them. Um, Now these next bowl games are going to be in a mutual field, right? They're not going to be at home
Yes.
stadium.
Yes.
Okay, that's a big thing because if they're playing in Oregon,
Those are at neutral sites. The first round is at home, and then everything else is neutral.
And I like the first round at home. I like that. I I got this one's a tough one, Craig. I think I think Oregon wins. I like their quarterback. I like what they've done on the offensive side of the ball. The rushing attack. Ohio State's good. This is going to be to me a game-winning field goal, walk-off win. I
To
think.
me, it depends on which Ohio State team shows up. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to talk about an absolute night and day difference between two teams. The team that played Michigan and the team that played Tennessee yesterday.
Yeah.
That wasn't the same, you know, effort level. That wasn't the same play calling. That wasn't the same. I mean, if you look at that, you almost look at the Michigan game and go, did you guys just? I mean, I think you want to talk about a team that just figured they were going to just show up to the stadium and Michigan was going to fall over and go, "Yep, you guys win." It's the only thing I can think of is they just went,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, this team's terrible this year. We're just not even gonna put any effort in. We're just gonna show up and be able to do what we want." And by the time they realized we're in a dogfight, it was too late. I don't know because that team yesterday, um,
Beat
I
the
mean,
brakes off of Tennessee.
I mean, Tennessee was overmatched from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
From the jump. These first round games we knew were going to be like this. You had teams that were high ranked versus the teams that barely got in. Um, of course, you're going to hear the Alabama fans say we could have done a whole lot better than SMU. Why were they in? Um, Tennessee, looks like they forgot to show up. But yes, this next set of games will be the games that we really thought. I was a little disappointed in Clemson. I thought they would give Texas a better fight. Um, but then again, every time they played a big game,
They wet the bed.
they didn't really do anything this year. Sweeney Dabo Sweeney doesn't like to use the transfer portal, and so his teams have suffered since then. Um, I think Oregon beats Ohio State, but it really just depends. I think it'll be a game of. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be down to the wire, just like it was the first time they faced. But I think Oregon's a better football team.
All right, we got Texas at or Texas versus Arizona State. Arizona State number 4, Texas number 5. I think
I think
Texas wins this one.
I don't think it'll be much of a game, honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't
I think
sound.
Texas. I think Texas handles them. I think Texas has the easiest path
They
to
do.
get to the championship.
Um, they definitely do, and losing the SEC championship game might have worked out better in their
Might
favor
have
than
worked out
anybody else.
better.
So Penn State at Boise State, we're gonna find out what rushing team likes to run the ball and can run the ball better. If we got Genty, who should have won the Heisman Trophy, well, we're gonna see what he could do against Penn State. Penn State's tough. They're a team that's gonna run the ball and play good defense, and Boise State's that team too now with Genty,
Yeah,
um, running the ball and their trick plays and all that stuff. But I think Penn State wins this game. Unfortunately, I think they win it pretty handily. Um, I got them winning, and then do you think Boise State can pull the upset here? I know I want to say upset because I guess it's not really an upset because Boise State's number 3, but I think we all know that Penn State's a better football team, in my opinion.
Hmm. I want to say Penn State just because the way the Big Ten plays football, they just muck up. They just run the ball. It's smash mouth football, and I don't know if Boise State's used to playing that way. Yeah, give me Penn State.
I want to see Boise State win. I want to see Genty go out and have the game of his life, but I just don't.
Definitely make the Heisman vote look bad if he does.
Yeah. Notre Dame at Georgia. I think Georgia is going to handle him.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think Notre Dame played anybody like that this year. I think Georgia's just built bigger and built faster. Um, Honestly, if I'd have had to pick, Georgia was going to be my pick to win it all.
well, I'm hoping, I'm hoping Oregon kind of wins it all. My team's not in it, so it'd be nice to see Texas win it, but we'll see going forward. That we'll give our picks after they play this second round here. But we should see some better football games going on.
Definitely.
Definitely. I think all 4 of these games. I mean, Texas and Arizona will probably be the biggest blowout, or Georgia Notre Dame, but we'll see. Oh, and Oregon and Georgia's had kind of a weird year this year,
They
so
have
we'll see how they handle it, how they come back from that.
a
They
couple
have it,
real head scratching losses and but
yeah.
a couple really big wins.
Lions are up 10-0 on the Bears. Bengals are beating the
Surprise.
Browns. Yeah, Jets are beating the Rams 6-0. Speaking of the Jets, have you watched the Aaron Rodgers show on Netflix? They did a 4-part
No.
show on him, and I think it's called Enigma or something.
Yeah.
I've got to watch it and see what kind of a weirdo this guy is. And just I don't know. He makes himself very hard to like. I don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
a Green Bay fan, and I liked him when he played here, and it's just so weird. But go check it out, I guess, and see if we find that Aaron Rodgers is more of a weirdo than we thought he was. Because, but, um, That's the question in the offseason too: is where's he going to be next year? Because I don't think he retires.
Well, he
Where's
did.
where's
He did come out and say that he's willing to mentor the guy if they draft his replacement. He's willing
Oh, interesting.
to be more of a mentor than he said. You know, like the Jordan Love thing where he's like, "Hey, it ain't my responsibility." Um,
Yeah.
so I think that was his way of saying, I don't think a lot of teams are going to come bang the door down and want me. So if you guys would just honor this big paycheck you gave me and pay me a bunch of money, I'll help you um, with whoever you draft.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes there. But I was kind of surprised to hear that. Like the agent maybe came to him and said, "Hey, the market for you is hot garbage. You might want to fix this in New York."
It's been absolute an absolute just shit show there for the New York
Yeah,
Jets.
yeah, that is a very confusing look.
One thing that we have not talked about, and I totally forgot until I just said that. Did you see the article that came out talking about the New York Jets owner?
No.
Oh my gosh. This,
Woody Johnson.
yep. This is hilarious. You know, we all know the Jets are run poorly and it's a bad organization and they haven't been good for a long time. There's an article that came out that said that said Woody Johnson's uh kids, his 18, 19-year-old kids are have say so with the team. That they didn't want to trade for Jerry Judy last year because his Madden rating was too low. That is laughable.
Wow.
That
If we're making real personnel decisions off
on
Madden
Madden.
ratings, um, that's crazy.
That shows you the bigger
That's
of what a F show it really is
yeah,
behind the scenes. It talked about how
yeah. His kid playing Madden, going, this guy's really good.
this guy's really good. You should go trade for him. It talks about how his kids have been in the locker room telling players they suck. About how Mike White, um,
Oh, that's awesome.
about how Mike White slammed his helmet, or the owner Woody Johnson told him you should slam your helmet because you effing suck. Then had to apologize to him later. And they're talking about how players are like it kills the whole mood in the locker room, and
Oh
I'm like,
yeah,
oh yeah, that's
yeah.
what a big S show.
Well,
It's
I mean,
and
that's
it's
just. I think it's that stadium. I mean, the Giants are the same way. I think it's anybody that plays there. I saw a deal. They have these things on Instagram and the like the week in review type deal, and they're like, yeah, there's UFOs up there in New York, and they said that they're looking for signs of intelligence, so we don't have to worry about them going over MetLife Stadium at any point in time, because that's not gonna happen. I mean, so yeah, and it's crazy.
that's just bad. That's just bad.
Yeah,
That's
it's both
terrible.
those teams are very poorly run. Um, I think Washington was a team that was very similar to that until they sold, and now they have you've seen the difference in what a solid ownership group can
Yep.
do. Um, I think the Lions, with a new ownership group, who comes down and says, I trust the coach. I trust the process. Whatever you guys need, they didn't go in the locker room and go, you guys are terrible, da 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 da. And now look what it's gotten them. It's gotten them a bunch of players that are ready to run through the wall for the coach and play good football, and that entire franchise is turned around, and I think they will be turned around for a long time to come.
I saw a meme the other day. It was so funny, and it's talking about the Chicago Bears, and it said the Bears are so close. All they need is a new owner, a new head coach, a new defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, it said a new stadium. Um,
Yeah.
the Vikings and Lions to fall off, and the Packers to move divisions. I started
Right.
laughing. I'm like, they
Well,
just
it's
got a new
just
owner. That's the problem. They just got
well,
a
it's
new owner. It's
just
so funny.
that by not firing the head coach
Last year, yeah.
2 years ago when they had the chance, set that franchise to where they are now.
Yep.
Eberflus stayed on 2 seasons longer than he should have.
Oh, you see where the ball boy yesterday called a timeout for Andy Reid?
That's only in Kansas City can that
And
happen.
someone said in the comments, that's Eberflus using his final
Right.
timeout.
Right.
So good.
Right.
So good. Oh, anyways. All right, guy. Well,
They were talking about how the ref in the New Orleans game didn't stop the clock and let New Orleans re get together to the line or whatever, and they said that the ref's time management was so bad that Chicago Bears want to hire him.
Oh man, any Bears memes is great. Um. All right, guys. Well, that's your show this week, week 16. We'll be back on Tuesday night. The show's not moving to Sunday. We just had college football yesterday, and I couldn't. I had to watch the game, and then turns out we could have done a podcast yesterday because the games are terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, thank you.
Yeah, I did not watch the second half. I tell you that.
Yeah. We could have jumped on last night.
Zach's like, I want to play some video games with my friends. Well, he's like, how long are you going to watch this? I'm like, I'm going to watch it until I said, if Ohio State makes it 28-3, I'll shut it off. 28. I said, here you go.
There you go.
Threw him the remote, went upstairs. There you go. Play your video game, huh? So, yeah,
well,
it was bad.
Here's hoping we have some better football. And we will, but
yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, that's the show today, week 16. We'll come back on Tuesday, give you our week 16 takeaways.
The Christmas Eve edition.
The Christmas Eve edition. No, that is true. We got Christmas on. It doesn't feel like it here. It doesn't feel like Christmas.
It's 74 degrees outside.
It's a little weird, but that's the normal. All right, guys. Well, God bless, and remember,
keep it outspoken.
All right, cool.
Sorry, the fucking dogs were going fucking bonkers.